Okay. Uh, Good evening, everybody. Um, my presentation today is one that I think will be valuable for all of us here in the maintenance department, and particularly stockroom coordinators. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, the title of this presentation is Operation Remove, Identify, Reclassify, and Move Stock Parts to Consumable Items. I prepared this for the Coca-Cola Dunedin Juice Plant, and Marshall Starr, who is the maintenance manager. Okay, bear with me. Sorry about that. So the executive summary about this particular project. Um, So a stockroom inventory currently contains quite a number of parts that have a low dollar value but a high usage and a high frequency in the inventory variances. Parts that meet this criteria must be separated from the stock parts. What I need to do is I need to identify these parts, remove them from inventory via issuing them, and then reclassifying them as consumable items, and then assign them to the Granger's Keep Stock program. Also be physically removing them and placing them to that Granger Keep Stock program, which is in a whole nother room, the consumable room. What this will do, this will lower the amount of inventory variances and um, decrease the overall dollar value of the stock room, whereby decreasing the amount of tax we pay for stock and parts. So uh, it's a win-win, and it just makes sense. Um, so we'll start with some of the details. Go into some of the specific details of the operation. And so what I'm going to do is first I begin by printing and reviewing all the inventory variances, the inventory variance report for the current fiscal year. So from December until now, end of June, and it'll be parts that have a value less than $50 and have Granger selected as the primary vendor, and that's important because Granger products are anything that we get from Granger. Um, Granger it does run our keep stock program, uh, and so any of the parts that qualify will be targeted for this operation. So after running the reports and all of as I had suspected, all the parts are contained in this pretty much the same location in the stock room, which is that first section in A0, A30. So what we'll start doing is we start removing all the items. We'll start at A30, A01, which is the location. Start of that location in that targeted location. We will remove all items one by one, labeling and packaging, and then also doing an inventory on them. Um, Once we do that, we will physically move them and put them into some of the newly acquired storage racks that I had have Granger bring in for us for this operation. And it's also very important, very very important, as we have inventory coming up, that for every part that is moved, that we issue the correct quantity in SOMAX, which is our CMMS system that we utilize here in the Coca-Cola facility here. And also, we need to make sure that in that SOMAX system that we also mark those items that we're moving, we mark them as consumable and inactive. This will prevent them from showing back up in the auto purchase when I run that auto purchase report 2 times a week. So the opportunity, you know, here's the current situation is that that report had identified 283 parts in that target location that actually moved that matched the removal criteria. So that's the opportunity there. Let's go over some of the pros and cons of this operation. You know, every operation is one of the things you have to outweigh. You want to make sure that there's a value added to this operation. We're putting man hours in there, we're putting new cabinets in, and so just sort of want to weigh it out and list the pros and cons. So, you know, this is what I've done here. So for the pros and cons, so one of the pros is reclassing qualified stockroom parts to consumables will lower the value of the stockroom, therefore lowering the amount of tax we are paying for stockroom parts, which is good. Another one that's not on the screen here is it creates less inventory variances. It'll also increase our inventory order accuracy percentage on a daily basis and overall as we do our two wall-to-wall inventories. And then now that they have been reclassified, Grainger, our vendor Grainger, will now be responsible for maintaining the appropriate inventory levels and submitting those POs to me so I can process them accordingly. Not a lot of cons, and the only really con I could determine was that the initially may cause mechanics a delay and be able to locate these parts and take them moved. You know, a lot of our mechanics have been here for 10, 20, 30 years, and they are used to parts being in certain locations, and you know they never even really use the Somax system to find out where a part is. They've been to these drawers and grabbed these parts thousands of times, and so you know, change is going to throw them for a loop a little bit. So there may be some initial hesitation or discomfort level for the mechanics in finding these parts. The recommendation is you know, we start the inventory immediately as our mid-year wall-to-wall inventory started June 21st, and actually the broadcasting now we've already completed it, and in fact this whole presentation has been completed, and it's been a successful one. But for this presentation, we're going to continue as if this is what we are doing. So some of our key success factors are you need to have a timely completion. We need, like I said, we need to finish this before the wall-to-wall inventory that starts on June 1st. We need to accurately label the parts so that no parts are being mislabeled and the wrong quantities entering for the wrong parts. And then we also must follow all the proper issuing and removal and the auto purchase unchecking and inactivation procedures that are in Somax. This is very important because even if we remove those parts physically, but we don't do the proper steps into Somax, those parts will still continue to show up on the auto purchase and cause quite a problem for the inventory and other areas as well. Some of the data analysis, like I talked about, there was about the percentage of the parts. So if you look at that data right here, you see that the parts targeted location that meet reassigning criteria and the amount of inventory discrepancies is about 24% of the overall parts in the stockroom, and the lower other green, darker green color is all other parts in the stockroom. So that small percentage of that area that we've targeted is responsible for just under 25% of all of the inventory discrepancies we had in the total stockroom, which is over 5,000 parts. So in that just that little condensed area right there is a problem area, and one of the reasons why it is a problem area. Like I said, there's these parts are low dollar, and in fact they probably should have never been even labeled as repair parts. These are unions. These are small T's and elbows, stainless steel parts that they're not bearings. They're not um, motors. They're not photo eyes. So they're not really repair parts per se. And so because of that, that is one of the reasons why, when the mechanics are going to fix stuff, they just grab that stuff and they sort of have that in the back of their mind. And, oh, I'm just going to grab this real quick, and they don't always follow the proper protocol for signing out that material, which in turn leads to quite a bit of inventory discrepancies in that area. And so the final recommendation is that, as the data suggests, completing this operation is in fact instrumental in maintaining an accurate inventory with as little as variance as possible, and that's what we want. Uh, our goal is to have 100% inventory, but that's almost impossible to obtain. But it's something that we should strive for, and this will help us get there for sure. So we're going to start this operation immediately. Like I said before, is the mid-year wall-to-wall inventory started June 21st. And if it's not completed, all the parts selected for removal, and if they have not been inventoried, this will create another unnecessary large amount of inventory variances. Contacted Grainger uh, and request additional cabinets. And it will require two of the two multi-level keep stock cabinets, the red ones that Grainger provides for us. Also, make sure to conduct inventory in all parts. Like I said, it's very important that what we're taking is proper, what the amount, quantity of the parts that we are removing. It's important that they match what we have in our system, our inventory system, and that they are in fact removed in accordance to what the inventory says. And make sure that each part is pulled, inventoried, and bagged for removal. And that we also are keeping track on physical inventory tracking sheets. So if there is anything that happens, we can always go back, check those inventory sheets just to sort of verify that in fact what we've moved is the right quantity indeed. And so that wraps up my presentation for today. I'm definitely confident that this is something that needs to be done to help us with our variances, and it won't get rid of all of them, but that it definitely is a problem area. And once we have completed this, we will show an immediate improvement on our variance reports. Thanks everybody for listening, and I look forward to providing you guys with an update to this after we've completed everything and inventory is complete. And then there's probably a couple more areas of different types of parts that we should probably revisit for another operation like this. We sort of tweak our stockroom inventory and get it down to just really the fundamental types of repair parts, and this will help out a lot. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I can address those appropriately. Thanks again, and have a great day, everybody.